The flashing red and blue lights painted the wet asphalt, each flicker reflecting off the dark sedan that had just been pulled over. The man inside tightened his grip on the steering wheel, heart pounding. Not from guilt, but from memories. Marcus Avery, a 38-year-old mechanic, had been stopped more times than he could count, each time for reasons that always felt less about traffic and more about color. He breathed deeply, whispering a silent prayer. This time, he just wanted to get home. From her patrol car, Officer Danielle Reese stepped out, her boots clicking against the road. The rain had softened to a drizzle, mist rising from the pavement like smoke. She adjusted her hat, looked at the man's license plate, and approached. "Evening, sir. License and registration, please." Marcus handed them over, voice steady but low. "Was I speeding, officer?" Danielle's eyes flicked to him. Polite, professional, but curious. "Broken taillight," she said. "You might want to fix that before it gets dark again." He nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I'll take care of it first thing tomorrow." But her gaze lingered, not with suspicion, with something else. Recognition. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening." She stepped back to her patrol car, looked over his record. Clean. No tickets in years. She exhaled. Something about his calmness, the way he didn't argue or defend himself, felt different. When she returned, he was staring out the window at the rain. "You okay, officer?" he asked, noticing her hesitation. She smiled faintly. "You remind me of someone I used to know. A friend from the academy." There was silence between them, soft, almost fragile. Then she handed him the citation. "It's just a warning this time. Get that light fixed." Marcus took the paper and smiled politely. "Thank you, Officer Reese." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "You know my name?" He gestured toward her badge. "I make it a point to read the names of people who hold my day in their hands." That made her laugh. Not a loud laugh, a small, unexpected one that melted the tension. As she turned to leave, her radio crackled, but she didn't move. She hesitated. Then, almost impulsively, she looked back. "You're married, right?" Marcus blinked, confused. "Yes, ma'am." 12 years, she chuckled, biting her lip. "Shame. If you weren't married." She smiled in disbelief at her own words. "I'd give you my number." Marcus's eyebrows shot up, and for a second, the weight of the world, the suspicion, the history, the fear, all fell away. He laughed softly. "You'd be disappointed," he said. "My wife's the real catch." She shook her head, still smiling. "Good answer." Then she walked back toward her car, but before she could drive off, her radio screamed, "Unit 27, robbery in progress, 5th and Maple, officer down." She froze. Marcus saw it in her face, the shift from calm to urgency. "5th and Maple?" he said. "That's near the gas station I just came from." Danielle ran back to her cruiser, sirens blaring. Without thinking, Marcus turned the key and followed her. When they arrived, chaos reigned. A small convenience store stood open, glass shattered. Another officer lay on the ground, clutching his arm, bleeding. Inside, a masked man was screaming, waving a gun. Danielle drew her weapon, crouching behind her door. "Stay in the car," she yelled at Marcus, but he didn't. He recognized the layout, the store owner, Mr. Patel, who sold him coffee every morning. Marcus had helped fix his freezer once, for free. He moved fast. Slipping around the back entrance, he pushed open the emergency door quietly. The robber was distracted, yelling at Danielle through the shattered window. Marcus stepped behind him, grabbed a shelf rod, and swung. The weapon clattered to the floor. Danielle rushed in, cuffed the suspect, heart hammering. When she turned to Marcus, her expression was a mix of anger and relief. "You could have been killed," she shouted. He just shrugged. "Couldn't watch someone die while I sat in my car." Her lips parted, words catching in her throat. Then she exhaled, voice trembling. "You remind me of why I joined the force." Hours later, at the hospital, Danielle checked on the wounded officer. Marcus waited outside. When she came out, her uniform was smeared with dirt, her face streaked with exhaustion. And gratitude. She reached into her pocket, pulled out the citation, and tore it in half. Consider this erased, she said softly. And if your wife ever lets you have a second phone, maybe then I'll give you my number. Marcus laughed, shaking his head. She'd never allow that, Danielle smiled. Then tell her she married a hero. Outside, the rain had stopped. The clouds were breaking, moonlight spilling across the wet streets. For the first time in a long while, both of them, a weary cop and a tired mechanic, felt that the world still had good people in it. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. Marcus drove home that night, headlights cutting through the mist, heart lighter than it had been in years. He thought of the way she had looked at him. Not as a suspect, not as a statistic, but as a man who simply did what was right. And sometimes, that's all the world needs. One act of courage, one moment of grace, to remind us that humanity still lives beneath the uniform and the skin. You've been listening to Cinematic Whispers, where every story proves that compassion still breathes in the quietest moments. Subscribe, share, and keep believing in the power of good hearts.